back to my channel and welcome to today's episode of Create Something Today. Now in today's episode, I'm going to show you how to create a hand-lettered tea towel. Now having inspirational quotes on a tea towel are a great way to spruce up your kitchen decor, and they really make a great handmade gift. Now for today's example, I am going to show you how to hand letter on a flower sack tea towel. This is a tea towel that I hand dyed in teal and pink, and I sell these hand dyed towels in my online store. And links to everything that I use in today's episode will be available in the links below, so you'll have access to that. There'll also be a blog post if you want to read the instructions, that will be available too. And a customer ordered this towel and asked if I would custom design it for her. And she actually provided the design and she said, can you paint that onto this towel? And that's what I did, and that's the example I'm going to walk through to show you today. Now let's go over the supplies that you will need for this project. Now you definitely need a tea towel, so a blank white tea towel like this is fine. You can also use a dyed tea towel, that's perfectly fine as well. You will need some kind of quote that you will be tracing onto your towel. If you Google, you will get plenty of different options. I'll also share a few links that I found that was really helpful. You want a variety of paintbrushes, just ordinary paintbrushes is fine. You want to have a paint tray. I really do like the ceramic paint tray, but if you have a plastic paint tray, that's perfectly fine. You want to have some kind of a water container. And the paints that we're going to be using for this project are Jacquard Textile Paints. So you'll want to have a few color options of these paints. And for the lettering, we're going to use the Stained by Sharpie fabric marker. This is great for lettering. You can also use the Jacquard Textile Paint in black as well, so that's another option, but I really do like using the black Sharpie fabric marker. And you will need an erasable pen. This is really great to draw your outline onto the towel, and it's got a little eraser on the end, so you can actually erase the design and erase the blue markings once you have finished painting your design, and so you'll get rid of all of those tracings. So this is really great to have. And then finally, I do suggest that you have a Lightbox. It makes it easier to trace your design onto the towel. You don't have to have a Lightbox, but I do recommend getting one because it just definitely makes it easier to do this. And that's it. That's for the supplies that we'll be using today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so now the first thing we want to do is to trace the design onto the towel. So this was actually the original design that was sent to me by my customer, asking me to put this design on this particular towel that she purchased from my shop. So the first thing I did was to make a photocopy, and I enlarged this. I think I copied it to 180%. So it's much larger and it will actually look better on the towel. Now for this particular project, I am actually going to trace this design and place it on the lower half of the towel, but in the center. And the reason for this is because when this towel is hanging on the stove, I want it to display properly. Like I want this quote to be seen. Now you can also put this into the middle of the towel altogether, but like I said, for this project, I'm going to keep it on the lower half of the towel, but still in the center. And to trace the pattern, I recommend that you use a water erasable pen like this one. I just bought this on Amazon. The brand is Clover. There are many brands out there, but this is the one that I chose. And it's great because it allows you to trace your design. You'll see your design, but then it can easily just wash away as well. So you won't have the blue marking on once you've actually completed your design. Okay, so I like to use a Lightbox when it comes to tracing my designs, whether it be on paper or fabric. And in particular for this towel, because it already has the dye on it, if I didn't use the Lightbox, it might make it a little challenging to see the design. If you're just using a plain white towel, you might not need the Lightbox, and you could probably just see the design through that plain white towel. But in this case, I'm going to use the Lightbox. So I've got my design. I'm going to open the towel. And I already know I want it to be on the lower half, so I just need to make sure it is centered properly. And it might be a good idea, once you figure out the placement of the design, it might be a good idea to actually tape the design onto the back of the towel. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I figured out the placement for my design onto the towel, and I'm just going to use a masking tape to tape it into place. Okay, so now it's in place, and we can begin the tracing. Okay, so now I've placed the towel, I've placed the pattern underneath the towel, and I placed the tea towel on top of my light box, and I'm now ready to start tracing. And you'll just follow along your pattern. And you probably will have to hold the fabric because it is going to move, so just be mindful of that. Okay, so now I've finished tracing the design, and I'm going to use this black Sharpie. It's called Stained by Sharpie. It's a fabric marker. I'm going to use this to go over all the lettering, and then I'm going to use the Jacquard Textile Paints to add the flowers and the leaves and the other design elements. Okay, so again, I'm using the Stained by Sharpie fabric marker to trace over the lettering. And as you can see, I've already started. I like to keep my original design next to me so that I can know where I'm adding more of those thicker lines compared to the thin lines. So I will go ahead and complete this lettering, and then after I'm done with that, I will proceed to paint the flowers using the Jacquard Textile Paint. Okay, so I'm now ready to start painting the flowers and the leaves. The first thing I'm going to do is start to mix my color palette. So I've got the design in front of me, and I'm not going to get the exact design as this, and that's okay because I'm going to use this as my inspiration and add my own touches to it. And so the colors may not be 100% exact, but I do want to try to mix colors to get as close to this palette as possible. Now I'm going to mix the different green shades. I'm going to use these different greens with a bit of yellow, a bit of white, make the different green shades so that I can add the leaves and all the green elements to the design. My design is now painted on the towel, and I'm gonna go back and touch up the flowers a little bit and even the leaves, just give them a little bit more color, a little bit more dimension, and then we're pretty much done with this hand lettered tea towel. Okay, after you finish painting the design onto the tea towel, the final step is to iron it. And the reason you want to iron it is because the heat from the iron, when it is applied to the painted area, it makes that color permanent. So what I recommend that you do is, on the reverse side, take your iron and put it on a medium heat setting or a cotton heat setting, and just use your iron and go over the area a few times to make sure that the heat really passes through and goes onto the design, and then that will make your color permanent. So you should be able to wash it after that is done. Now, over time, the colors of the painted design may fade. That's only to be expected since it is hand painted, but for the most part, your design should stay intact and you should be able to wash your fabric and it will be fine. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you really enjoyed making your own hand lettered tea towel. I would really love to see what you've created, so if you want to share it with me, just share it on Instagram and tag me at DivineNY, and I will see you again soon.